This first question is from Sully from Sandy, Utah. And the question is, you state that the definition of an awakened being is a person who is in a state of presence. And anyone can be an awakened being. How does that differ from a God-realized being? Many God-realized masters like Buddha, Christ, and Krishnamurti seem to me to have a different tenor of awakening than those who are just present, like yourself. What is the difference?
Okay, thank you, Suli. Thank you for elevating me to such a high level there. The truth is that the common element that one who is simply present and awake shares with a God-realized being like Buddha. I don't think Buddha ever spoke of God, but anyway, or Jesus. I don't think Krishnamurti ever spoke of God, but I'm not sure. But the common element, all of these God-realized or non-God-realized beings who are awake, the common element that we share is that we are all present. And I cannot tell you how valuable it is to be present. Because the whole of humanity is lost in the mind, lost in separation, lost in illusion. When you become present, you come out of that world of illusion, out of that world of separation. Now you're in the truth of life. Your mind is silent, you're fully present with what is here. That is what I call an awakened being, one who is no longer lost in their story. And I can assure you that is enough to transform this world in an instant if we were all to awaken to that level of presence. Forget about God, forget about Jesus, forget about Buddha. That is more than enough. And the great tragedy is there's very few of us on this planet who are actually awake in presence in the way that I'm describing, where they are masters of the mind and ego, no longer identified or caught or lost in their story, fundamentally present. They know that the present moment is the truth of life. Now, of course, the ego will want more. There's no question about that, because the ego always wants more. And so there are many people on a spiritual path who won't settle for presence. They want God realization, they want Christ consciousness, or they want samadhi, they want enlightenment. And so the ego will have them looking for more, which will actually keep them out of being present. They might even fall under the delusion that they're awakened or enlightened, but actually they're still pursuing more. One who is truly awake has relaxed out of all seeking and seeking more. This moment is enough. God, this moment is enough. Oops, I just said God. Now, if you are truly present, it's just a question of relaxing and deepening into presence, becoming more and more precisely and finely tuned into presence. It's only a question of deepening into presence. Sooner or later you're going to open up into God consciousness. But what does that mean? It's not something you read about. It's not something you understand with your mind. It's not something you believe in. It's something that opens up at the deepest levels of awakened presence. You simply feel and sense the presence of God in everything. It's overwhelming. It's unmistakable. Now, do you have to call it God? Not necessarily. You could call it the mystery. You could call it full immersion into oneness. You could call it full immersion into isness. But if your mind hasn't been contaminated in your childhood around the word God, more than likely the word God is just going to open up and you're going to declare it God or know that it is God, because it just seems to fit. And every time you even utter the word God at this deep level, something opens. Something of the mystery opens at an even deeper level. But if you seek that, you will be denied it. God consciousness, or the realization of God, arises through grace as you bring the gift of presence to the present moment, as you bring the gift of generosity and gratitude to the present moment, all in silence, without one word. It's who you are. It's the energy that you're presenting and bringing forth to that which is of the present moment. The present moment will respond and reveal its hidden treasures. And at the deepest level of those hidden treasures, it will reveal God. But you can't understand it. You can't think about it. Now let's distinguish between Christ consciousness and God consciousness. With Christ consciousness, I am utterly awake and present, experiencing oneness with God in everything. God and I are one. There's so much oneness, there's so much God in everything that I can truly declare, just like Jesus did, God and I are one. That's Christ consciousness. I am, God is. Perfect silence. But I am experiencing God. Who is experiencing God? I am. Silence. I am, God is. I am, silence is. That's Christ consciousness. There's one step beyond that. And many people get caught for so many lifetimes desiring this one step beyond it, thinking they know what it is. And it's God consciousness. But with God consciousness, I have disappeared and only God is. There's no one here to realize that I am experiencing God consciousness. So who is there to report it? Now that can open up spontaneously within you, and it's a divine, blessed experience. But it's not the plan that we should remain in that. It's just the ego that thinks that would be nice. If that opens up, it's a great blessing. If it closes down, that's a great blessing. At least be in Christ consciousness. I am, God is. And if that closes down a little, at least be in presence consciousness. I am here rather than lost in my mind. I am here honoring the present moment as the truth of life. And people seeking God consciousness, or they think that's where it's at, they don't realize what they're asking for. Be careful what you ask for. Okay, so thank you, Suli, for your question. It was a very good question.